Dear students, topic of our class is sources of law. Topics to be covered: sources of law, primary source of law, secondary source of law, different sources of law, and under different sources of law, we will discuss formal sources of law, material sources of law. The material sources of law is further divided into historical sources, legal sources. Then in legal sources, we will discuss custom, legislation, precedent, agreement. Sources of law. Sources of law means the material from which the rules to regulate the human conduct it is framed. It includes your legislation which is passed by legislator, the rules which are framed by the higher judiciary in the judicial decisions, the treaties and conventions which are the outcome of the agreement between different countries, as well as the custom and traditions which are acknowledged by the judicial officers in a different judgments. So these are the sources of law. So sources of law, it is of two types, primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources are those sources which are the actual law of a land framed by the law making authority. So law making authority of a country, it includes primarily it is your legislature, but some of the part of the law it is the outcome of the judicial decisions also. So judge also make the judgment law. So the primary sources is the actual law such as constitution, your different acts and statute, as well as the landmark judgments given by the higher judiciary. These are the primary sources of law which cannot be changed or which cannot be altered in the text by any ordinary person. The second is secondary sources of law. Secondary sources of law, these are the reinstatement of the actual law. These are the restatement of the actual law. What does it mean? That, for example, your textbooks and your reference book, for example, the research papers also, your articles also, research articles also, these are the secondary sources. So in these sources, the author has analyzed, explained, and also has done the critique of the actual laws which are formulated by the primary law giving authority. So that's why it is known as secondary sources, because it is the analysis, explanation given by a person who is not a primary person dealing with lawmaking process. So these are the secondary sources. Formal sources of law. Formal sources of law, it gives validity or authority for the enforcement of law. The examples of the formal sources of law is the will of the statute or the judicial decision or the will of the sovereign. It will include your constitution of a particular country. It will include your all the particular laws which are framed, which provides the authority for the enforcement of law as well as the validity to a particular law, that is included in the term formal sources. Material sources of law. The material sources of law, it includes your all those sources which provide the matter or which provide the content to the law, that is known as material sources of law. It will include your act and statute which are passed by the legislature of a country. It will include the custom and traditions also. How the custom and traditions, they will provide the content to the law. Sometimes the customs and the usage, they are acknowledged as a part of the act and statute also. For example, your Saptapati. It is included in the section 7, subsection 2 of Hindu Marriage Act as an essential condition for the validity of the Hindu marriage. So it becomes the customary law. One more mode is there in which the custom and usage, it can become a part of the law. It can be in the form of the acknowledgement in the judicial decision. For example, if there is any judicial dispute, if there is any dispute and it comes to the court of law and the party it alleged that they are having some custom and tradition and they shows a particular evidences in the favor of those usage and tradition, then in that case it can be acknowledged in the judicial decision and decision can be based on the basis of that custom. Once it is acknowledged as a part of judicial decision, it becomes a customary law. And one of the example is the adoption of own son-in-law by the Punjab and Haryana Jat community. So the Punjab and Haryana Jat community, they are having the one tradition. Those families who are having only the daughters, they used to adopt their own son-in-law. So this practice, it is followed in order to preserve their property, that their property should not be divided to their brothers or other legal heirs. They want to uh, give their property to their own child. So there is a custom in that particular community that they used to adopt their own son-in-law. But if you see the Hindu Adoption Act, the Hindu Adoption Act is not having the reference of the adoption of any person who is more than 15 years. The maximum age is 15 years. But here, a married person who is more than 21 years, that is adopted, and there are so many disputes in which this custom they are acknowledged. So there are the disputes in which the legal heirs, they are saying that adoption, it is not a legal adoption because it is the adoption of a child, of a person more than 15 years. But in those cases, the usage, it is taken as a primary evidence, and on the basis of those usage and tradition, the adoptions, they are taken as a valid adoption, and the property, it is given to the son-in-law. And the next type of the material sources, it is the judicial precedent also. The judicial precedent, it is also giving the content to the law in the form of the rules which are framed in the landmark judgments by the higher judicial officers. That is also the part of material source of law. The classification of material sources. Material sources, it is divided into two types, historical sources and the legal sources. And this particular classification, it is the Salmon classification. We have already discussed. The material sources, it is classified into two classes, historical sources and the legal sources. Historical sources of law, these are the material which tell about the historical evolution of the present legal system of a particular country. All the primary acts as well as the statute and regulations which are passed in the journey of the formulation of a particular legal system of a country is the historical source of law. It also includes the customs which ripens into how it changes and how it ripens into the present part of the legal system. It is included in the historical sources of law. All the acts, regulations which are passed in the legal history of a legal system, it is the historical source of law. Legal sources. I have already discussed legal sources. These are the sources which provide the authority as well as the enforcement power to the law, that is known as legal source. It includes the constitution also, it includes your statute also, it includes your precedent case laws also. So these are the legal sources. The convention and treaties which are the outcome of the agreement, the personal laws, all these they are included in the term legal sources. Types of legal sources. There are four main types of legal sources: legislation, precedent, custom and agreement. So I will discuss in brief about these four terms. What is the meaning of term legislation, precedent, custom, agreement, and how it will be a legal source of the law. The first is legislation. Legislation is the law which is passed by the legislator. It includes all the acts and statutes which are passed by legislator. So I will take the major acts which are passed by the Indian legislature. The first is Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution is the mother law of India. It is the major political document. It elaborates the rights, duties, freedom which is available to the people of India. It elaborates the different organs of the government, what are their functions, how they are, what is their composition, how they are formulated, how they are appointed, how they are removed, what is their tenure, their salary, everything it is given in the Indian Constitution. It elaborates the basic law relating to the emergency also, how the emergency can be imposed, for how much time it will be valid, how it is to be removed, everything it is covered in Indian Constitution. It contains the provision relating to the amendment also. How the amendment can be made to the Indian Constitution. Every aspect it is covered in the Indian Constitution. It is the major law of the land. The second is Indian Penal Code. The Indian Penal Code, it elaborates or it categorizes the different offences into different categories, such as the offences relating to offences relating to human body, offences related to property, etc. It is categorized in the Indian Penal Code. The offences, they are explained, their elements they are given, as well as the quantum of the punishment, it is also elaborated in the Indian Penal Code. Along with that, whether the offence it is bailable, not bailable, it is also given. The offence it is cognizable, not cognizable, it is also elaborated in the Indian Penal Code. The third is Indian Contract Act. The Indian Contract Act, it specifies the different rules in the formation of the Indian contract, how it is to be made, as well as it also provides the remedies which are available if one of the parties to the contract it uh, causes the breach of contract, then what is the remedy available, that is also provided in Indian Contract Act. The next is Indian Evidence Act. The Indian Evidence Act elaborates the different type of evidences which are admissible, what are the offences which are admissible, what are the offences which are not admissible, that is given in Indian Evidence Act. It also elaborates the stage of evidentiary stage, how the evidentiary stage of the Indian trial it is going to be done. The steps, the stages, they are elaborated in Indian Evidence Act. The last type is the procedural laws which I am discussing. So the procedural law tell about the different stages which are included in the trial of a case. In case of civil suits, the procedural law which is followed, it is known as Code of Civil Procedure. In case of criminal cases, the procedural law is Criminal Procedure Code. So this is some example of the major acts which are passed in India by the legislature. The next source is the precedent. What is the meaning of term precedent? The precedent means an act in the past which may be used to decide the similar dispute or situation in the future. So the rules which are framed by the higher judiciary in the landmark judgments, they are followed by the lower judiciary in the similar situations as well as similar disputes, that is known as judicial precedent. So I will give you some examples of the landmark cases. So the first example, that is the Keshwanand Bharti case. The Keshwanand Bharti judgment, it was given in the year 1973. The basic structure of Indian Constitution, it is defined in the Keshwanand Bharti case, and the law it is framed that the basic structure of Constitution could not be abrogated even by constitutional amendments. The second is Menka Gandhi case. Now in the Menka Gandhi case, the law it is made that right to go abroad, it is included in the right to personal liberty of a person. The third is Vishakha versus State of Rajasthan. This is also the landmark judgment, and it becomes the base to the formulation of a new act relating to the prevention of sexual harassment at the workplace. This judgment it was passed in the year 1997, and the Supreme Court has formulated the guidelines which are to be followed by the employers in order to check the sexual harassment at the workplace. Next is custom. Custom, it includes your rule, usage, tradition followed by the group of people. So I have already discussed how the custom it is a source of law. It can become a source of law either it is acknowledged in a particular judicial decision or any particular dispute it is decided between the people of that community on the basis of the rule. Then in that case those particular customs they are acknowledged by the court and it becomes the part of customary law. The second way in which the custom can become a part of law, that is when it is included in the section or it is included in any subsection of a past statute, then in that case the custom become a part of legislative law also. So it is a legal material, it is a legal source of law. Agreement, it is also the source or material source of the law. The agreement which is entered between different sovereign states, they are the conventions. International conventions, they are formulated in order to regulate the conduct of the sovereign states among themselves. These are the legal bindings among their particular interactions, and their relations, they are regulated on the basis of the terms they have agreed upon. So the law-making treaties, they are of two kinds. The treaties which are providing the rules of international law, such as the UN Charter, and the second is the treaties which are explaining the rules, which are not explaining the rules of journal application. These are the particular treaties which are entered by very less number of the states and which are only applicable to these states on a particular aspects they have agreed upon. So the law-making treaties such as the UN Charter and Paris Declaration, there are so many law-making treaties which are universally applicable, and major sovereign countries, they are signatories to it, and large number of countries, they have later on ratified it. So I will take some examples of the international treaties which has included as a part of law-making treaties. The first is Paris Declaration. The Paris Declaration, it is on the neutrality in the maritime warfare, in the naval warfare. It deals with the principle of the neutrality, that every state has to be neutral in the naval warfare toward each other. The next is the Hague Convention. The Hague Convention, it gives the set of the rules which are agreed between the different states, and it relates to the law of war, that how the war it is going to be between two different states. Next is Geneva Convention of 1948. The Geneva Convention also set upon the set of rules that where the particular force it can be used against the your adversary state, and how the war it is going to be regulated, and what type of object it can be attacks, and how the law it can be more humanized, that less number of the casualties will be there for the civilians and their property. All those particular aspects, they are covered in the Geneva Convention. Now the next is Venice Convention. The Venice Convention, it relates to the, it is also known as law of sea. All the rules regarding the sea voyage, that is covered in the Venice Convention, and it is also the treaty providing the international rule. Lawmaking treaty is there. Why? Because it is signed by major part of the sovereign states. Maximum sovereign state has ratified it. They are the signatories to it, and it makes a part of law of sea. So this is the one aspect of the agreement as a source of law, where the agreement has given rise to the mutual obligations and the rights in the international transactions between the different sovereign states. That is the base of international law. But agreement, it is also a base of the national laws also. So the signatory states, they used to make the national laws on the basis of the agreements, convention and the treaties which they have entered with the other sovereign states. For example, the India, it is the signatory of the Geneva Convention Act of 1948 as well as the other Geneva Conventions. So the Indian legislature, they have passed the Geneva Convention Act of 1960, in which it is given that all the obligations they have to follow which are there in the Geneva Convention Act, and if it is not followed, then there will be the penalty. So agreement, it is also the base of national law also. So agreement, it is the base of international law. Majorly it is the base of international law, and it also gives rise to the formulation of new legislation on the basis of the conventions and the treaties which are entered by the particular nation. Now what are the expected questions from this particular lecture? The first is discuss different sources of law. What are the primary source of law? Third is discuss different types of material source of law. The fourth question which can be asked, that is what is legislation? And the last is what are the main kinds of the legal sources?